You could have been a tax accountant. You could have owned your own gym. You could have opened a chain of restaurants. You could have done one of 10,000 things, but in the end, you chose to protect people.
Friends listen to each other and they don't shoot each other, do they, Audrey?
You killed all those people. But I found you. So many sacrifices just to find you.
What are we talking about?
All right. We're going to be talking about M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable from 2000.
Yes, and we are the Three Dumb Guys. Hello, my name is Zach. Who are you again?
I'm Jared.
I'm Justin.
I pulled them off
Hello.
the street for our recording session today, so this is our first time talking together. We got to get used to it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's the angle we're going with here.
We're talking about Unbreakable.
We met in a comic book art gallery. Come on.
Yes, that's what it was. And then one of us
We were in
proceeded to wax
art
poetic
gallery.
about the mythos of comic books and how they're about
We're in an art
things
gallery,
greater than
nothing.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And one of us decided to commit 3 terrorism acts.
One of us
Ne-
almost drowned in a pool.
Needless to say, if anyone listening out there, whether you're a new listener to our relatively young podcast or not, we're the 3 real dumb guys, just a few guys who've known each other for many years now who like to get together and talk about nerdy things and find excuses to get together and talk about such things. And yeah, if you've never seen Unbreakable by M. Night Shyamalan, then you just got spoiled, maybe unknowingly, on a few pretty major things in this movie, but that's kind of our MO with talking about movies anyway, that we spoil the crap out of things. So you've been
I feel like 26 years is a good amount for a spoiler limit.
I was about to say, if you're not wanting to get this movie spoiled, you probably shouldn't be on a podcast what we're talking about.
Especially when the film's had 2 sequels already.
I mean, you would think, right? But I mean, like, I think I told you guys this, but about a month ago, I took my sister-in-law and her husband to see the original Star Wars in a theater for like May the 4th weekend. And
no way did he find about spoiler alerts.
Well, I mean, it was just like my sister-in-law knew a lot about Star Wars going into it, but had never seen the original movie. And so there were still things that shocked her about it. Like, I don't think she knew that Alderaan just gets totally vaporized. She didn't know about Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen getting vaporized. So, just even with older movies, there's still things people can get surprised by if they don't know anything about it.
And that is definitely something the case with Unbreakable, because as Mr. Glass's mother says, this one has a surprise at the end.
Hey!
I did not. I totally missed that until the very end of the movie, and I was like, hey, wait a second.
I mean, like, anyone who
I
knows
know
M.
that-
Night Shyamalan's filmography could have seen that coming a mile away, but it's still a nice touch.
At the time, this was only, his second film? His second feature film after Sixth Sense?
I have that up on IMDb here. So, there was one movie, Praying with Anger, before this one. There's an 8-year gap between Unbreakable and his first movie. Excuse me, Praying with Anger came out in 1992, and then Unbreakable came out in 2000. But he had Sixth Sense, then Unbreakable, then Signs, then The Village, and then he kind of, like, every couple of years he comes out with other stuff. But, like, from, 2000 to, 1990 to 2005, he was on a heater of, these really good movies like Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, Signs, The Village.
For sure.
Then after that, he kind of loses his way.
From there,
It's
his
all sorts of
filmography is
different-
basically just like a whole lot of
Yeah. Has The Last Airbender.
What, are you saying you didn't like The Happening? Or After Earth?
What?
Split.
No!
Or Glass.
Oh, jeez.
Or Trap that came out just 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Dude, I had so much unironic fun with that movie. I mean, both ironic and ironic. It was so stupid, but I couldn't help but smile watching that movie. Josh Hartnett was having so much fun.
It's terrible. It's absolutely one of the worst films I've seen in a long time.
It's hilarious, though.
But that's kind of what you're playing with fire when you watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie, that it could either be something that's absolutely amazing that keeps you guessing all the way to the end, or it is absolute schlock from the very beginning.
It's true. Sixth Sense is still, I hadn't seen that movie before, might be the best twist ending or twist in the movie I like ever. And
I would
this
agree.
movie, if I hadn't had it spoiled because I worked at Cinemark when Glass came out, so I had kind of a notion of what was gonna what happened in Unbreakable. If I hadn't had Unbreakable quote unquote spoiled by glass, I think the twist in this movie would have also been like, oh my gosh. Like, 'cause they were starting to be friends at the end of the movie, and it turns out he's the villain. Like, it's a pretty good twist if you think about it.
Hey, every superhero needs a supervillain.
It's all part of the ethos.
It's all part of the comic book. Some of the interesting behind the scenes stuff is that this movie is so designed to be like a comic book. It's not like an action film of the time, and it's definitely not like superhero films that came later on.
Yeah.
And you've got these long tracking shots that are all meant to be like comic book panels with very few cuts. You've got all of the symbolic, just like stuff in the background, like how pretty much every single scene with Samuel Jackson's character Elijah Price, or Mr. Glass, has glass in it. Like his reflection is, he's first introduced in a reflection, or he has a cane that's glass, or his hairdo is based off of the historical figure Frederick Doug Glass.
I hadn't even
All
thought
of
about
this
that
stuff
part.
is meant to
I
be
didn't even think about that.
every single thing is like meant to be, yeah, this guy is Mr. Glass. Hint, 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 hint. It's all comic books. It is just straight comic books in a very direct sense.
If you look at the colors too, he was wearing purple from the get-go. And,
Yep.
like, purple is the color of like a bad, or like it's supposed to be like a bad guy color. And so
And
like,
David Dunn is wearing his green pretty much every time we see him.
yeah, I noticed that off the bat. I was like, oh, he's wearing purple. Oh, he's the bad guy. Like, I knew he was the bad guy, but I was like, that's pretty on the nose. If you know about how they use colors in movies, that's pretty on the nose from the get-go, which is really interesting to me. And like, the shots are really cool. Like when he falls down the stairs. First of all, I don't. Lots of cracks that haunt people, but like if you watch when he falls down the stairs, when he sees the gun under that guy's jacket, like the camera goes around in a circle and then it focuses in on that gun. It's like, oh my gosh, I actually really liked that shot, but I
The
couldn't.
sound,
I was like, oh,
yeah, the sound design when he's falling down that flight of stairs to the subway, though. Oh, gut churning.
yeah, nope, I'm good. I don't need to hear that again.
But I like that you guys touched on the very deliberate pace of this movie, though, because, I mean, even back at the time when this movie was made, when superhero movies were in their real infancy, I mean, you had things like Wesley Snipes' Blade at the time, X-Men came out the same year, and then before that, you had like the Superman and Batman movies. But this movie not only being an original story, for one thing, but also I like that it feels like a myth, a modern myth, because they go into that with talking about the lore of comic books and the fact that a lot of them are just these old campfire and, folklore stories that got passed down over time that have been repurposed in new ways with new names, new whatever you want to call it. And in a way, this feels similar in the sense that you have a story about a guy who, yes, he's discovering his powers and discovering his supernatural, superhuman identity, but it's framed in the sense of like him finding his sense of purpose rather than just like, oh, I'm gaining powers, now I got to fight a bad guy, And I think that's one reason I'm still drawn to it many years later after having seen it for the first time, is that there's so much you can get on a personal level from that story where it cuts to the core of like human existence, of trying to find purpose, trying to find fulfillment in what you're doing, even at a much later age, like how David Dunn is in this movie. It's like, what, maybe late 30s, early 40s by this point?
I'd say so, yep.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, this movie was my pick for, our turn when we're taking turns picking older movies to watch, and it really impacts me in that personal way just for how much it takes this larger-than-life sort of character and brings it down to a very grounded level that I could really appreciate.
It is true. You watch this movie from like the lens of somebody who's watched like all the Marvel movies. And like think about how big Marvel like superhero movies have gotten. While I was watching this, I'm like, oh, I'm watching a Marvel origin movie, but it doesn't like I found myself thinking there's not all the Marvel quips in this movie. There's some funny stuff maybe, but like it's pretty serious and pretty not quippy. Deservedly so. I think that helps with the tone of the movie, but like there's no quips, there's no skybeam, there's no bright.
Yeah, I only had one laugh the entire film, and that was when David and his son Joseph are doing the workout down in the basement, and the shots are so long and slow, which kind of goes into that. It's definitely not like a modern comic book movie, but it goes through every single time he does a set on the bench press. Every single time the sun gets a little bit further away. So he gets some more weights on, and then the sun is about 5 feet away. Then he gets some more weights on, sun's about 10 feet away. Gets some more weights on, and then the sun's about halfway up the stairs. And I laughed at that. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that was the one laugh that I had this entire film.
It's very serious. It's pretty eerie, the whole movie. Like, you don't know what's happening. Deliberately
I
paced.
was kind of thinking about it. Like, it's a comic book movie made in a world that doesn't have comic book movies. Like, because you've got M. Night Shyamalan, and he brought Bruce Willis along, and they'd just done Sixth Sense. And you've got his production company that is just saying, no one's going to go see a comic book movie. And that's crazy. Don't even market it like that. And they market it as like a psychological thriller or something like that. This is what comic book movies would look like if we never got comic book movies.
I kind of wish we
that's
got
true.
more movies like this, to be honest. Although the fact that this is just kind of its unique own thing makes it that much more special, that you can be this movie or comic book fan and then experience this. And hopefully, if you're willing to go with more of a slow burn movie, you can enjoy it. But I don't know.
It is very much a slow burn movie.
Yeah.
Like if you go in expect there is one action scene in the entire film, and that is after like 98% of the film is done.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And also that, dude, for somebody, sorry, that is maybe my one gripe with this movie. It's like, for somebody who's that strong, him and that guy fighting at the end was like watching.
He just does a really lame choke out.
Yeah,
That's it.
Stupid. I was like, what the? This should be cool. He should be really like flexing his muscles with his powers, and he just chokes this guy out, and he's pretty much loses to this random guy. It's like, dude,
Yeah, for someone
come
who's
on.
supposed to be so invincible and so strong, like doing 350 pounds plus on the bench press, it's like he gets knocked over the edge and nearly drowns. And granted, that is his kryptonite, but like he, for a superhero showing, he is very not super. He does pretty much anything that a regular human would do, besides the being able to see a person's past, cognition power. But that's pretty much it. Like, that's his real power.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably explain away most of that stuff, but you're right. I mean, there's a part of me that kind of wishes he would just give him one big Saitama level punch and the dude just is done for. Just morph into a giant pile of paste and flesh with one punch.
That would traumatize those poor kids even more than they already were.
Maybe that's another thing.
Yeah.
You know, he being a dad himself, he probably didn't want to mess up the guy too much and scar the children for life more than they already had, but I don't know.
But yeah, it's interesting just because of what you've been talking about, Zach, about how this goes into the lore and mythos and trying to go into the more in-depth look at comic books. For a comic book film, this is so slow. Like, it is not speedy at all. There's no action. It's lots of long shots, lots of people sitting down and having quietly whispered conversations about what comic books mean and how they are significant. And so going into this with any other perspective would be a very disappointing film.
Yes.
But you have to go into it with the mindset of, no, this is from the guy that made Sixth Sense.
Which is also a very low-key movie.
And also another slow burn.
I don't know if you guys felt like if it was too slow for you, but I was perfectly fine with the pace of this movie, considering that all of those conversations, whether they're between David and Elijah, or if they're between David and his wife and son, like, I found all of them to be interesting, and I think that's enough to really keep me going, even if there's not like a lot of quote-unquote action. Like, if the conversations are interesting and they invest me on like a visceral and emotional and thematic level, then that's good enough for me. And that's how I felt. I mean, especially on this second time watching it, because this was my second time watching it overall, I got a little bit more out of the relationship between David and his wife, because I don't know, maybe the first time I watched it, I interpreted their relationship as like doomed no matter what they do. Whereas here, now that I've been married for as long as I have, it feels more like, yeah, they've faced a lot of challenges and they're potentially going to go their separate ways, but I like that they, in their pursuit of fulfillment for each other, they want to be together despite all of their challenges and start anew. I don't know, that stood out to me more as time has gone on, but that's just me.
His family relationship kind of goes back to what you were talking about, that the entire film is less focused on comic book action, but more on the man's search for meaning. Like, literally, the whole thing can go back to Mr. Glass's quote, "What's the scariest thing, not knowing your place in the world, to not know why you're here?" That's what the movie's about. It's not really about comic books. That's just a means to the end. It's just giving David Dunn's character a purpose, and his purpose is to be the kind of person that his family needs. His son looks up to him, his wife is trying to rebuild a relationship with him.
Absolutely. And you mentioned his son looking up to him. I honestly think the moment right at the very end when the two of them are sitting at the table and he just looks at his son and he's like, "You were right all along." I think that was probably one of the most emotionally satisfying moments in a movie I've seen in quite a while. Just so subtle and so quiet, like you were saying, Jared, like many of the other conversations in this movie, but just the way that it brings everything together for their relationship and how David finally reconciles who he is with how his son perceives him, just it hits.
And he also that little quiet nod when he passes the paper across, and he like points at it, and the kid's still looking at his orange juice. he looks at it, he gives him a little nod, and he goes, he's like, "Shh." I really like that because I think that's a good, like you said, it's a good character development where they're like, because remember when he's pointing the gun at him, he's like, just when we were starting to like become friends. He's like threatening to shoot him, and he's like, "Friends don't shoot each other." Like I like appreciate that they become. There's that moment where they like have a moment together to be better friends, if that makes sense.
Though there is one thing that the movie really fails at when it comes to the more quiet approach, is that really cheap epilogue where
Gosh,
after the big reveal, you just get a flashcard scene basically. David Dunn led the authorities where evidence of 3 acts of terrorism were found. Elijah Price is now in an institution for the criminally insane.
Oh yeah,
It's
true.
like, yeah, that's how it ends. Cool.
That had
Yeah.
to be a studio note. It had to be.
It's so funny that it's like, oh wow, you've got this massive reveal right at the end. They're superhero and supervillain. Oh no, all's done.
It's one of those, oh, by the way, actually, sort of moments.
yeah, it was such like a. I thought there was going to be more movie after that, and freaking it just cuts to David Dunn led Elijah Price, the authorities to Elijah Price. It's like, dude, what? We're not going to get like a whole get to arrest him.
If you want more movie, Justin, I'll say this. Split is worth watching, in my opinion, but at that point, just stop.
You don't like Glass?
I think Jared knows what I'm talking about.
I think most people would agree that the first third of Glass is kind of a good sequel, but then you've got the rest of Glass, and no one wants to watch that.
Yeah, the ending of that movie just craps on everything that came before. And it's from M. Night, too. I don't get it. Like, that's what he was leading to?
This is still the M. Night who did The Happening, where trees kill people. This is still the M. Night that did After Earth. Like, just because he has done amazing films like Sixth Sense and Unbreakable does not mean that he's...
I'm right there with you. I'm not above calling any of his movies trash.
He's had some really great films, but sometimes his desire to put a twist at the end of things is just... I mean, there's a reason that shows like South Park and other have been making fun of him for decades, going, "What a twist! What a twist!"
Oh man, yeah. Do you guys have any other points, or do you guys want to transition to winners and losers?
Oh, let's go for it.
Biggest winner of this movie, Zach?
Gosh, I mean, maybe the superhero genre as a whole, because, like, as I was saying earlier, there aren't really other superhero movies that are like this at least from what I can immediately recall. You know, I'm sure if I look back on my Letterboxd diary, I could find something, but the way that this is its own unique thing, that it is a drama that people can watch and still get the same sort of satisfaction of enjoying a superhero story out of, I think is just a very cool and unique thing that you don't really see much of, especially nowadays. So I treasure it from that perspective. What about you?
And who would you say was the biggest loser, Zach?
Biggest loser.
Okay. I thought we were okay. Yeah, if we're talking about like on a financial level, you know, the fact that, as you mentioned, Jared, it was marketed as a thriller rather than what it was at the time, it certainly did not make the splash that it did and probably should have at its original release. And so I think the movie is a loser in the sense that it was failed by the marketing campaign and it was not able to land the impact that it probably should have. It's definitely a cult classic now when people know of it in like film circles and all those things, but F in the chat for that marketing team.
I just pulled up the box office marketing or box office winnings from IMDb. Budget was estimated to be about 75 million. Opening weekend, only grossed 30.3 million or something like that, and it grossed U.S. and Canada only 95. Like it only
Yeah,
made
that's
like
rough.
25 million bucks. Worldwide, it made 248 million, but like that's it's not great.
Probably barely broke even.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, which sucks because I think this one is a worth. Should have made more money in the theaters, in my opinion, but I don't know.
Well, critics really didn't like it that much. I mean, even knowing what it was, a lot of people came into it expecting another Sixth Sense, which
That's
was
true.
extremely well received. And they're like, yeah, well, it was decent, but it wasn't Sixth Sense.
Yeah,
And so I think it came out to like with an average rating of like a little bit over like 6 out of 10.
I think big winners out of this probably at this point. This is I don't know what Samuel L. Jackson had done before this point, but
A
like
lot.
Him and Bruce Willis. No, hold on.
I was in Pulp Fiction.
No, I
Yeah.
know, but like at this point in his at 1990, guess he'd done Shaft. Well, he did quite a bit. Oh, Phantom Menace came out before this. Oh well, all right, never
Yeah.
mind.
He was in a lot.
As if the Phantom Menace was the peak of his career.
No, but like you know what I mean.
I know, I know.
Uh,
Besides, he was the hold on to your butts guy in Jurassic Park.
Yes, his most iconic role.
I was about to say that's what it is.
English,
I
do you speak it?
I think the people in this movie are probably like Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson probably biggest winners out of everybody in this movie, only because they came back for another movie later down the line, and both of them, even though this was maybe a flop, they still continue to be really famous. But
You know,
like,
they'd both been in a movie together before this. Die
movie.
Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh really?
Well, and Pulp Fiction as well.
No one really thinks of that as like the Bruce Willis movie.
True.
I do.
Yeah, yeah.
The part with him running over Ving Rhames is glorious.
Jeez.
Fair enough.
Uh,
But yeah, Die Hard with a Vengeance is a good one too.
I would say from a 2026 perspective, and based on this movie, I think M. Night is probably a bigger loser here. Only because I feel like these four movies, like Sixth Sense, this one, Signs, and Village, it set him up to be so cool and like maybe superficially so, and then he's just had stinker after stinker after stinker, you know what I mean? I feel like he got too big for his britches with this one and Sixth Sense and some of the other ones that he come out with.
I definitely think that's a
I
fair assessment.
Jared, winners and losers.
I was actually definitely going to say some similar concepts that as for the loser, absolutely M. Night Shyamalan, because he was the what a twist guy. Like because of Sixth Sense, because of Unbreakable, because of Signs, every movie he did had to have a twist, and so a lot of those twists were not good. And I think doing such good, well received movies initially definitely set him up for, oh, this is going to, you can't just get everything you want because it might not be that good of a film. Kind of like the George Lucas problem with the prequels. No one willing to say no to him. For the winner, I would kind of agree with Zach that kind of the whole genre won because we had comic book movies prior to this. There were the Superman films, the Christopher Reeve Superman films. There were the Batman films. There was X-Men. And if you go older, you have the old TV shows for Captain America and Hulk and all of the, and Batman and all these other stuff. But they were goofy. They were fun. They were not taken seriously. And this is a comic book movie where you've got Samuel L. Jackson talking quite seriously about kryptonite and how real world superheroes are going to have their own weakness and everything, and it treats it very seriously, and I think that is an interesting take on the genre, and it kind of helps to legitimize it a little bit.
For sure.
Uh,
Hindsight's been very kind to this movie, I think.
Yes. Yes, it has. I would just like to point out that I had a gripe that I texted you guys both about while I was watching this movie.
Oh yes,
Is
do
Robin Wright
tell.
a villain? Is Robin Wright a villain in every movie? Besides Princess
Jenny.
Buttercup? Yeah, like in Forrest Gump. She's obviously the bad guy in Forrest Gump. Is she a bad guy in this movie?
I mean, she made him give up his
Football.
his hobby and his life and his career for her, so.
I mean,
What the heck?
doesn't every man who gets married do that?
Ooh.
Don't
Is
let
there
him-
something you want to tell us about your relationship, Zach?
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. I love my wife very much. But no, like
She was in Wonder Woman. She wasn't a villain there.
What about Blade Runner 2049? How do you interpret her character in that?
Dead.
Good one.
She gets murdered pretty early on, so
pretty
Jeez.
brutally too.
Yeah.
But no, I can see how she would be like maybe an antagonist to David Dunn in a way, like how she kind of like opposes him in some way with his growth, but at the same time she's also a motivator for his growth. And again, she wants to be with him too, and she wants things to work between them. And it kind of
I wouldn't say that she's a villain. Even
Antagonist.
sarcastically, I probably wouldn't. She's more of an obstacle.
That's probably a better way to put it, yeah. If we're strictly looking at like David Dunn's progression as a protagonist, then yeah, sure, obstacle works. But she's a necessary obstacle, especially in the context of that flashback with the car crash they're in when they were in, was it high school or college?
College. Because he was in college football star.
Right, and so you have that whole car crash happen, and he's in denial the whole time about the fact that he didn't get hurt in that, and she didn't realize it. So anyway, do you guys have any additional thoughts on the movie that you haven't shared yet?
Yeah, I think we can call it there. Let's just give our ratings.
Cool. Well, since I recommended, I can go first. I really, really love this movie. I do think it is M. Night Shyamalan's best, even though The Sixth Sense is pretty close behind it for me personally. Maybe objectively, The Sixth Sense is better, but I have a stronger personal connection to Unbreakable as opposed to The Sixth Sense, so I would honestly give it a 9 out of 10. That's how much it means to me.
I probably would give it like an 8. I like this movie a lot, actually. I've been meaning to watch it for a while now, and this kind of gave me an excuse to watch it. I liked it a lot. I think there's a lot of good beats to it. I think Samuel Jackson's the surprise villain is actually really cool. So I would say probably an 8 out of 10 for me.
Well, I would give it probably about a 7.5 out of 10 because I do think this movie is extremely well made. It is a very good example of what the genre could be, but at the exact same time, watching it again, I was bored. Like, it is so slow. And I don't say that in like, oh, it needs to be like a Marvel movie with action and quips all the time. Some of these shots are so long. Like the workout scene that I mentioned earlier, when he's doing the bench press, it takes minutes to go through, like, all right, they got to put all of the weights on, and then the boy needs to back up, and then he has to do the entire lift, and then he has to put it back up, and then he has to put more weights on, and then he has to, like, it takes so long. Everything in this film takes so long. And then we finally get the one action scene at the very end, and as we've discussed already, it is not a very good action scene. Like, it recognizes his character with the overcoming the water with the help of the kids and everything. But this movie is not an exciting film. It has got the good twists, it's got the good writing, but it is not an exciting film. And so I give it a 7.5.
No, I think that's totally fair. Like, for me, I tend to be kind of a sucker for well done long takes that kind of have a purpose to them. And so I was completely fine with that. I think you could say I was riveted to an extent, but I can see how, like, if that isn't so much your thing with the movie that you watch, then yeah, I can see why it wouldn't have impacted you as much. It makes sense. Thank you guys for giving it a shot. I mean, Justin, first time watching it for you, and then Jared revisiting it. I thought this was a good discussion for sure.
Absolutely.
And with that, now it's time for Jared. You need to make a recommendation for something for us to watch for next time.
I'll give you something later on.
Oh.
Oh? Our audience doesn't get to know what you're picking?
No, because I don't even know yet.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well,
it's a twist. There's a surprise at the end, gentlemen.
Oh my gosh.
You killed all those people.
But I found you. So many sacrifices. I almost gave up hope.
Oh my gosh.
Jared was then admitted into a mental institution for the criminally insane.
Yes.
We're getting there. Not too far in the future. I just need to find the one first.
It was because of a woman.
It's always because of a woman.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be?
Oh man.
I mean, even David Glass, he was inspired by his mom, a woman, who, funnily enough, is like the actress that played his mom was 5 years younger than him.
Oh, that's
Yes.
hilarious.
What a movie. What a time.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to episode 3 of 3 Real Dumb Guys. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for our next episode when Jared reveals what he picked for us. In the meantime, feel free to make whatever kind of fan theories you want about what he'll pick. I have my guesses, but I don't want to assume things. If you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to go ahead and do so on YouTube or on Spotify, whichever platform you prefer. And if you enjoyed this, of course. And otherwise, we thank you for listening and hope you have a great day.
Just remember, no shooting friends.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.